After the appearance of the refined corpse, he had been fixated on the idea of acquiring it. Just moments ago, as he retreated amidst the self-detonation triggered by the ancient god's finger, he deliberately adjusted his position while retreating in order to avoid the blast, all for the sake of this silver corpse. Among the two silver corpses, the male corpse had sustained too much damage and was abandoned by Wang Lin. As for the female corpse, though also injured, her wounds were significantly lighter than those of the male corpse. I am participating in this great battle. Even if I end up acquiring some magical artifacts, no one will likely say anything, especially with the battlefield in such disarray, Wang Lin thought. His body shifting as he seized the opportunity created by the chaos from the ancient god's finger explosion. He immediately headed towards the female corpse. However, Wang Lin wasn't the only cultivator preparing to take advantage of the confusion. Several others also set their sights on the female corpse. Among them were Luo Tian and some members of the alliance. 7 cultivators, each coming from different directions, made their way toward the female corpse. Wang Lin wasn't the closest, but his speed was the fastest. As he raced forward, his eyes gleamed coldly. Within a few breaths, he would be near the female corpse. But with a slight flash in his eyes, he subtly slowed down. In the blink of an eye, a Luo Tian cultivator shot out from the chaos, rapidly closing the distance to the female corpse and grabbing her arm. At the same time, another alliance cultivator stepped forward, but instead of grabbing the corpse, he opened his mouth and unleashed a beam of sword light, heading straight for the Luo Tian cultivator. The two engaged in a fierce struggle. It all happened so quickly, and just as they clashed, another Luo Tian cultivator closed in, seizing the moment to grab the female corpse's arm. He began to retreat, preparing to escape. But in that instant, he suddenly looked back in terror. With a horrified scream, his body shriveled and instantly turned into a pool of blood. This unexpected turn of events left the two cultivators locked in combat, shocked. They hesitated, staring at the female corpse, unsure of what to do. After a brief pause, the 3 of them, including Wang Lin, suddenly sped up and rushed forward. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with cold light as the ancient god cauldron appeared around him. In a split second, he switched places with a Luo Tian cultivator who was rushing ahead. The Luo Tian cultivator, stunned, felt a great force pulling him back. As he regained his senses, he saw that his position had been reversed with Wang Lin's. Recognizing Wang Lin's identity, he gave a bitter smile and retreated, heading towards another target. Using his divine ability, Wang Lin quickly closed the distance to the female corpse. The 2 cultivators closest to her, seeing the others rushing towards her, gritted their teeth. Almost simultaneously, they reached out and grabbed hold of her. But in that instant, they both screamed in agony. Their bodies rapidly withered away, and within seconds, they turned into pools of blood, which were absorbed by the female corpse and gathered into a seductive red light at her forehead. One of the alliance cultivators approached, his snake-like robe flowing as he chuckled softly. He extended his right hand towards the female corpse, but the hand was imbued with divine power. It seemed as though he was reaching for the corpse, but in reality, he was preparing to attack it. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and almost simultaneously, he and the alliance cultivator reached the corpse. Wang Lin formed a sword shape with his fingers and pointed forward. He shouted, "Move aside." The alliance cultivator chuckled, his right hand not slowing down but instead moving faster. He whispered, "Thunder Immortal Su Mu, so you're also after the beauty of this female corpse." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and as he drew closer, he made a subtle gesture. Just as the alliance cultivator was about to grab the female corpse, Wang Lin pointed forward with his right hand and calmly uttered, "Freeze." The alliance cultivator froze in place, as if his body was entangled by countless invisible threads. He was immediately immobilized. Without hesitation, Wang Lin reached for the female corpse. As he made contact with her, he expertly channeled his primordial energy, and with the ancient god's power condensing, the yin-yang fish formation appeared and sealed her forehead with a powerful imprint. A loud bang echoed as the female corpse trembled, and the red light that had been gathering at her forehead dispersed under Wang Lin's strike. Wang Lin didn't pause for a moment. He grabbed the female corpse and swiftly moved past the alliance cultivator. As he did, he kicked the cultivator in the chest without thinking. The cultivator's chest flashed with white light, and he was immediately sent flying, spewing blood, his face turning pale. However, he didn't die. Instead, he glared at Wang Lin viciously and retreated rapidly, clutching his chest. Holding the female corpse, Wang Lin looked down. Bloodlight enveloped her body, swirling around her face before gathering again at her forehead. Wang Lin had intentionally slowed his speed earlier because he sensed something was wrong with the female corpse. As he had suspected, several cultivators had already perished. If this female corpse remained so strange, Wang Lin would have chosen to give up, as survival was the top priority amidst the ongoing war. However, he discovered that after the female corpse absorbed the essence blood of 3 cultivators, subtle changes began to emerge. This was why he decided to continue obtaining it. At this moment, while retreating, Wang Lin formed seals with his left hand, casting numerous prohibitions onto the female corpse. He then expelled a breath of primordial spirit essence, sealing it and storing it in a storage pouch. In the blink of an eye, he sped off toward the collapsing myriad stars sky in the distance. The collapse of the myriad stars sky created a massive vortex. Under its swirling influence, a tremendous pulling force emanated, as if it were devouring everything. Only the moon-gazing beast remained unaffected by the force, charging forward and rampaging with reckless slaughter. Around the moon-gazing beast, several old experts from the Alliance surrounded it, trying to stop its progress. Even the cloud dragon demon Venerable approached the moon-gazing beast. Meanwhile, from Luo Tian's side, besides the moon-gazing beast, figures like the Blood God and others also surrounded it, engaging in fierce battles with the Alliance cultivators. The blood people created from the Luofu blood orb appeared one by one, surrounding the moon-gazing beast and launching an overwhelming war against the Alliance. The sounds of violent explosions and the roars of the moon-gazing beast shook the starry sky. Further above, Yin Lazy and Wu Dongchan were locked in combat, causing an even greater uproar. Inside the black mist where they fought, clouds surged violently, making the battle extremely intense. Occasionally, waves of energy would spill out, forcing even the Blood God and others to hurriedly avoid them. In the distance, observing this change, the woman in the water-blue robe remained calm, her expression as tranquil as water. Beside her stood the golden corpse clad in a dragon robe, quietly standing with an indifferent expression. The 5 pieces of yellow paper hovering above its head slowly rotated, flashing with lightning, sealing its spiritual core. The woman raised her right hand, pointing forward, and softly spoke, "Please, Grand Elder of the Earth Profound Hall, Mystic Treasure Elder." A loud laugh echoed across the starry sky. The laugh, although lacking in profound cultivation, caused nearly every cultivator's magical artifact around to tremble in unison, as if trying to break free from their master's control. The Black Fiend Demon Venerable, who had been fleeing, let out a sigh of relief. Not just him, but even the Cloud Dragon Demon Venerable also relaxed, ceasing their battle and swiftly retreating. They both knew that within the Cultivation Alliance, among the 2 halls and 4 Venerables, the so-called 4 Venerables were not only limited to them. Of the 4, the only true Venerable was Ji Tian. The 4 Venerables of the Cultivation Alliance included Yu Yun, Xian Yao, and the 4 of them, with Ji Tian being the Venerable Sage. Each of these 4 had 3 subordinates, and any group could form one of the 4 Venerables. In this great battle, the Cultivation Alliance had only deployed the Earth Profound Hall's 1 Venerable in the 3 realms. Mystic Treasure Elder held a high position within the Earth Profound Hall, but that was only part of the reason the Cultivation Alliance treated him with utmost respect and fear. The true reason was that he was one of the members of the Alliance Elder Council, which had the power to decide everything in the Alliance Star Domain. This was his more significant identity. The exact number of members in the Alliance Elder Council was unknown to anyone except the members themselves, but each was an extraordinarily powerful figure in the Alliance Star Domain, capable of reversing the world's fate. Tian Yunzi, who was highly respected by others, even receiving gifts during his birthday from the Cultivation Alliance, was also a member of this mysterious Elder Council. However, after some unforeseen events, Tian Yunzi's status fell drastically. Despite that, he remained a member. Had Tian Yunzi not kept a low profile, figures like Ling Tianho would not have existed. If he wished, everything could vanish in an instant. After the incident, Tian Yunzi became even more reclusive, rarely participating in Elder Council meetings, almost as though he had sealed himself off. It is important to note that neither Ji Tian nor the currently battling Wu Dongchan had the qualifications to become members of the Elder Council. In front of Mystic Treasure Elder, these 2 were nothing. No one knew exactly what qualifications one needed to become a member of the Elder Council. Some even speculated that it was related to cultivation, but certainly not entirely so. Within the Alliance Star Domain, the Alliance Elder Council was the topmost authority, controlling all the Alliance's secrets and power. Its members were the true rulers of the Alliance Star Domain. Mystic Treasure Elder, dressed in white robes and slightly thin, exuded an immortal aura. His bright eyes contained endless depth, and anyone who locked eyes with him would be immediately immersed in them, unable to break free for a long time. His face was kindly, resembling a true elder, and he held a whisk in his hand as he appeared beside the water-blue-robed woman. The woman respectfully spoke, "Junior greets Master Uncle." Mystic Treasure Elder glanced at the distant battlefield and smiled. "Child, your master sent you to command this battle, with everyone listening to your orders. Moreover, they specially chose this place as the battlefield. Such fortune is rare." Amidst his laughter, the Mystic Treasure Elder seemed to show no concern for the battle unfolding before him. However, when his gaze shifted to the Muhowl, his pupils constricted, and a meaningful smile spread across his face. A flash of brilliance flickered in his eyes as his right hand swept through the air, and he muttered softly, "Rain Immortal Guard." As these words were spoken, a series of thunderous booms echoed through the starry sky. Before the Mystic Treasure Elder, the void suddenly tore open with a massive crack. The crack, resembling a gaping wound, expanded rapidly, reaching over 100 feet in size. An immense pressure swept out in all directions, and amidst a flash of golden light, a towering figure emerged, a golden-armored man, stepping out of the rift. His entire body radiated a blinding golden glow, shining like a golden sun. Clad in resplendent armor, he appeared as a celestial warrior. In a single step, this golden-armored giant descended upon the starry sky. Following closely behind, 3 more golden-armored giants emerged from the rift, their golden light spreading across the entire starry sky, quickly enveloping it. Upon seeing these 4 golden-armored warriors, Wang Lin's pupils contracted sharply, and he froze as if struck by lightning. Immortal Guards. Wang Lin could clearly sense the imposing aura emanating from the 4 warriors, as though they were as towering as mountains. These were undoubtedly Immortal Guards crafted through the secret techniques of the Immortal Emperor Qinglin. Immortal Guards are classified into 4 grades: gold, silver, copper, and iron. These golden-armored warriors have actually reached the gold grade. Wang Lin glanced at the Mystic Treasure Elder from afar, hastily retreating, his body flashing towards the edge of the collapsing myriad stars vortex. After the appearance of the 4 golden-armored Immortal Guards, the Mystic Treasure Elder's expression remained unchanged. With a simple gesture of his right hand, the 4 Immortal Guards immediately moved, charging towards the Muhowl. With a roar, the Moonhowl's tentacles lashed out. At the same time, the Blood God and others surrounding him swiftly flew toward the Immortal Guards. The Blood God, in particular, made a hand gesture and released a burst of blood light, sweeping forward without hesitation. A sea of blood appeared out of nowhere and slammed towards the Immortal Guards. However, when the blood sea collided with the Immortal Guards, it only caused a slight tremor. The Immortal Guards didn't pause for even a moment. In an instant, they split into 4 directions: north, south, east, and west, surrounding the Muhowl and the Luotian cultivators. The Mystic Treasure Elder raised his right hand again, and the air around him trembled. 9 black butterflies fluttered out from the rift. These 9 butterflies were completely black and appeared menacing from a distance. As soon as they appeared, their wings began to flap, and violent winds suddenly surged upward. The storm they created swept forward, and the butterflies danced through the air, moving toward their target. Upon seeing the butterflies, even Wang Lin's composure shattered. This is the butterfly transformation of the Divine Chariot. Wang Lin gasped, but quickly realized the difference. The butterflies from the Divine Chariot were colorful and beautiful, while these 9 butterflies were entirely black, indicating a completely different nature. Who was this old man? Wang Lin's scalp tingled. Even the presence of Qishui hadn't shocked him like this. Even the mysterious cultivator who had stopped the battle between Qishui and the Blood God hadn't left him as astonished as the scene before him. The Immortal Guards, the butterflies, both magical artifacts that Wang Lin himself possessed, yet seeing them in someone else's hands left him in disbelief, reaching the peak of his astonishment. Wang Lin took a deep breath but stopped looking. Instead, he moved swiftly, his eyes fixed on a floating magical artifact ahead in the starry sky. The artifact was the wooden carving that the Black Fiend Demon Venerable had previously taken out. Now, only half of it remained, but the aura of pressure still radiated from it. Wang Lin's face darkened. This battle was clearly no longer one he could participate in. Taking advantage of the chaos was his best option. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin sped towards the half-carved wooden statue. On the battlefield, many cultivators were fighting for the possession of magical artifacts. Around the wooden carving, several cultivators were locked in combat, not allowing anyone to approach. As soon as Wang Lin arrived, he immediately drew their attention. Without hesitation, several cultivators from the Luo Tian side changed direction, while a few from the Alliance side immediately moved towards him. Wang Lin remained calm, making a hand gesture, and a gust of wind howled as it surged forward. At the same time, Wang Lin clenched his fist and struck fiercely. A tremendous roar echoed as the punch sent shockwaves through the air. The force combined with the spell-induced wind created a powerful surge of energy, blending both magical abilities and the immense power of the ancient gods. This was the beginning of Wang Lin's true strength. However, at this moment, these two forces had only fused initially, their terrifying nature still hidden. Yet, they were far beyond what ordinary cultivators could withstand. As they swept through, the Alliance cultivators immediately felt their bodies shake, as an unimaginable and bizarre force struck them in an instant. Their physical bodies trembled, their primordial spirits rocked, and they couldn't help but retreat quickly. It felt as if they did not retreat, they would be instantly crushed and killed under this strange force. They had cultivated for so long and had never encountered such a divine technique. Wang Lin's gaze flickered, and the ancient god cauldron appeared around his body. In the blink of an eye, it switched places with one of the cultivators. To the surrounding cultivators, it seemed as if there was a brief flash, and when they regained their focus, Wang Lin had already completed the switch and surged forward, immediately reaching the wooden carving. However, just as he approached, a sword chi appeared out of nowhere, whistling toward him. This sword chi contained an extremely domineering intent, as if everything in the world had to avoid it or face destruction. Wang Lin was no stranger to this sword chi. It was the same as the one from Ling Tianho back in the day. This treasure belongs to our great Luo sword sex dragon of the 12 earthly branches. A cold voice echoed, and at the same time, someone appeared behind the sword chi, instantly arriving. The sword chi bore down on Wang Lin, and if he attempted to take the treasure, he would surely be struck. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, without a ripple of emotion. His right hand didn't hesitate as it seized the half-carved wooden figure, and in the midst of his turn, his eyes flashed with a strange light. He opened his mouth and exhaled something that blocked him. The 18 Hell Sealing Immortal seal immediately materialized. The moment it appeared, the sword chi crashed into it with a thunderous boom. The sword chi shattered, but the 18 Hell Sealing Immortal seal remained undisturbed, moving backward as Wang Lin guided it. An old acquaintance, a soul of the departed escaping under my command, and today, it dares to snatch treasure before me. Wang Lin's voice was calm. After speaking, he cast a cold glance at the dragon of the 12 earthly branches, knowing it was not the time to kill. He retreated from the scene. This battle was witnessed by too many cultivators, and it was impossible for them to see each other's faces clearly. Moreover, Wang Lin never stayed in one place for too long, always moving like a flickering shadow. As a result, the dragon of the 12 earthly branches didn't recognize Wang Lin's identity. Before, he had only felt something familiar about Wang Lin, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't associate this familiar figure with the Wang Lin of old. But hearing Wang Lin's words now, it felt like thunder had struck his mind. His body trembled, and disbelief flashed in his eyes. He cried out, "You!" Wang Lin ignored him, and with a swift movement, he distanced himself and continued to wander through the battlefield, collecting the magical artifacts of the fallen. However, his divine sense was locked onto the moon-gazing beast, as he patiently waited for an opportunity. He sought a moment when a cultivator from the Alliance star domain would clash with the moon-gazing beast, so he could enter the beast's body to obtain the inheritance. At the same time, Wang Lin's gaze occasionally shifted to a distant woman in a blue dress, who had looked at him strangely before. As he carefully moved to the battlefield, his mind kept wondering who exactly was this woman. Around the moon-gazing beast stood 4 golden-armored immortal guards, their entire bodies radiating golden light. They formed a seamless circle, encircling the moon-gazing beast. As the blood god and the others resisted, the 9 butterflies quickly drew near. Their wings fluttered, and a storm formed around the moon-gazing beast, creating a vortex as if connecting to the heavens and earth. In the midst of this whirlwind, the blood god and his companions wore dark expressions as they unleashed their divine abilities and magical artifacts. The thunderous sounds of clashes echoed, especially from the moon-gazing beast, whose anger had intensified. Twice surrounded, it nearly went berserk. It opened its vast maw and let out a roaring scream. From within the roar, ancient divine words echoed, signaling the moon-gazing beast's use of ancient godly powers. The mystic treasure elder's eyes gleamed, and with a laugh, He extended his right hand and pointed toward the void. Immediately, the 9 black butterflies' wings fluttered faster, and countless black threads appeared out of nowhere. In an instant, they swarmed and interwoven around the moon-gazing beast's body, forming a cage. Meanwhile, the 4 golden-armored immortal guards let out a low growl, their bodies trembled, and then they instantly expanded, transforming into towering giants, each one over 100 feet tall, all of them launching their attacks. With a smile on his face, the mystic treasure elder made a grasping motion with his right hand. From the crack in front of him, a surge of azure energy shot out. This azure energy contained a terrifying aura that caused the minds of cultivators within tens of thousands of miles to tremble. Wang Lin shuddered, focusing his attention. From within the azure energy, an arrow slowly fell out of the crack. This arrow was enormous, about 30 yards long, with a diameter of 7 feet. Its entire body was azure. The arrowhead had 6 edges, and purple feathers adorned its tail. Dark bloodstains were visible on the shaft. The terrifying aura that shook the minds of the surrounding cultivators was caused by those dark bloodstains. The moment the arrow was released, even the blood god and others changed their expressions dramatically. Even Yin Lazy, who was battling Wu Dongchan in the starry sky, trembled and immediately noticed the 30-meter-long arrow. Void Nirvana arrow. Almost in the blink of an eye, the starry sky where Mystic Treasure Elder was located instantly collapsed over a large area. The rumbling sounds echoed continuously, but Mystic Treasure Elder remained calm. He pointed at the 30-meter-long arrow ahead and quietly said, "Void Nirvana." Yin Lazy's pupils contracted, and his expression grew extremely serious. He vividly remembered this arrow. It was one of the Cultivation Alliance's treasured artifacts, the Void Nirvana arrow. Legend has it that the origins of this arrow were unclear and its history long. It was said that during the time when the immortal realm still existed, rumors spread that this arrow had been stained with strange blood and possessed mysterious and unpredictable powers. When he decided to break into the Alliance, Yin Lazy had prepared methods to deal with all the powerful artifacts he knew of. The moment he sensed the Void Nirvana arrow, he sneered in his heart. This Void Nirvana arrow is said to be unpredictable in power, but I wonder, how does it compare to this moon beast? The 30-meter-long arrow trembled under Mystic Treasure Elder's finger and suddenly shot forward, as if released from a bow, speeding towards Moongaze. Moongaze's eyes were filled with an endless coldness. The moment the 30-meter-long arrow appeared, it immediately sensed the looming danger. Seeing the arrow racing toward it, Moongaze opened its mouth wide, roaring as countless crystal lights rapidly condensed before it. In an instant, an ancient god's finger took form. The ancient god's finger shot forward with a thunderous crash, heading straight for the arrow. Moongaze let out another furious roar, opening its mouth wide. Immediately, countless moon beasts erupted from within its body, hundreds or even thousands of them, each ranging from 1,000 to 10,000 meters in size. As they surged forth, the entire battlefield became more chaotic. It seemed that this battle was no longer between Luo Tian and the Alliance, but had turned into a conflict between the Alliance and Moongaze. As countless moon beasts surged and scattered, the surrounding Alliance cultivators' faces changed drastically, and they quickly retreated. But their speed was no match for Moongaze. The swarming moon beasts immediately stirred up a storm of blood and carnage. In the midst of the chaos, even some Luo Tian cultivators were affected. Among them, Wang Lin was devoured by a moon beast over 3,000 meters in size. His expression darkened, and with a flash, he swiftly avoided it, refusing to engage. Wang Lin knew that the only purpose of these smaller moon beasts appearing was to gather enough power to form the strongest ancient god's finger. At this moment, the Void Nirvana arrow was toward him, and in a split second, it collided directly with the ancient god's finger summoned by Moongaze. A tremendous explosion echoed through the entire Northern Alliance region. On the 30-meter-long arrow, dark red bloodstains swirled, and at that instant, an ancient aura spread out, transforming into an invisible energy that wrapped around the arrow. It directly pierced through the ancient god's finger, traveling through it, and aimed straight for Moongaze. This sight made Wang Lin widen his eyes in shock. Moongaze's body faltered for the first time, its roar growing louder as all the smaller moon beasts, including the one chasing Wang Lin, turned around and roared in unison. This wasn't just the roar of a single moon beast, but the combined roar of hundreds or even thousands of them, all responding to their mother's call. Ancient god's fingers appeared in the starry sky in large numbers, and the dense power of the ancient god immediately spread across the heavens. Wang Lin felt his hair stand on end in that instant, his eyes gleaming with joy as he immediately began absorbing it. He could clearly feel that the ancient god's physique seemed to undergo a tremendous leap, growing ever stronger. The ancient god star hidden beneath his third eye at the center of his forehead seemed to be on the verge of solidifying, transitioning from a semi-illusory state towards something tangible. This realization filled Wang Lin with ecstatic joy. Ancient god aura. I never expected that the ancient god aura would manifest here. Though it's faint, it certainly exists. Countless ancient god fingers in the starry sky began to rapidly gather in an instant. The result was a nearly solidified ancient god's finger that appeared before everyone's eyes. The shattered, bizarre patterns on it were even clearer than before. This scene even made Mystic Treasure Elder pause, his expression slightly shifting as a dark look crept into his face. This moon gaze is somewhat different from what the ancient records say. But I have the Void Nirvana arrow, and no matter how powerful this moon gaze is, it will never evade this arrow. Mystic Treasure Elder was extremely confident in the Void Nirvana arrow. Though my Void Nirvana arrow is only a grade 9 artifact, if I can capture this moon gaze and refine it into a treasure, it will surely become another Void Nirvana Supreme Treasure. With the fusion of the two, and after preparing for tens of thousands of years, I am 80% confident in creating a grade 8 Void Nirvana artifact. With that, my standing in the Elder Council will be strong enough to challenge Zhong Xuanzi. The Void Nirvana arrow didn't slow down in the slightest, it surged forward, colliding head-on with another newly formed ancient god finger. Munhal's roar morphed into a shockwave, and its massive body followed close behind the ancient god finger, charging ahead. But the moment the Void Nirvana arrow struck the finger, a cataclysmic change erupted across the entire northern region of the Alliance. The ancient god finger shattered again. A deafening boom echoed out, and the surrounding cultivators, even Wang Lin himself, were overwhelmed as blood surged within them and burst from their mouths. If even Wang Lin was affected this way, the others stood no chance. One after another, their bodies collapsed with a thunderous crash, turning into pulp, killed by sheer force alone. Even Blood God and the others couldn't withstand the unimaginable shockwave. Their faces paled as they retreated in unison. In an instant, not a single cultivator remained near Munhal. Only the 4 golden-armored immortal guards remained, locking Munhal in place. Surrounding them, 9 black butterflies stirred up ceaseless storms. The newly formed ancient god finger shattered once more, and at that very moment, more than half of the juvenile Munhals nearby also disintegrated. Jets of blue blood sprayed through the air, as though dyeing the entire starry sky in a deep blue hue. It was the first time Wang Lin had seen Munhal collapse. Though it was only the juvenile ones, their sheer number made his heart tremble. Munhal was a creature born from the ancient god's body, its hardness beyond imagination. Even the juveniles couldn't possibly be shattered by any cultivator. But what was happening before his eyes overturned everything he believed? This Void Nirvana arrow, what level of magical artifact is it? Wang Lin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, staring blankly ahead, his mind in chaos. Not only had countless juvenile Munhals and the ancient god finger been destroyed, the Mystic Treasure Elder's sub-Void Nirvana arrow was also shattered. Cracks webbed across its surface, and under the unimaginable force, it splintered into pieces. Mystic Treasure Elder's eyes flashed with a piercing light as he stepped forward. Though what was happening deviated slightly from his expectations, it was still within his broader plan. This Munhal belongs to me, he laughed loudly as he advanced. At that moment, from the crumbling sub-Void Nirvana arrow, a streak of black light flashed forth. It was another arrow. Only 3 inches long, it looked identical to the 30 zhang long arrow from before. The only difference was the blood on it, not dark, but bright red, fresh, as though it had just been soaked in blood. Crimson as fire. This was the true sub-Void Nirvana arrow. The instant it shot out, its speed defied imagination. In a blink, it pierced directly between Munhal's eyes. The moment it struck, a frenzied power exploded from within the arrow. Roars thundered as the very stars shook. Munhal's massive body trembled violently and began retreating. It was the first time it had ever been forced back. Between its eyes, a black vortex erupted, accompanied by an immense collapse. A fountain of blue blood gushed out. Inside that black vortex, the arrow spun faster and faster as it drove deeper, each strike causing another collapse. Munhal let out a wretched, soul-piercing scream that echoed through the starry sky. The sound shook Wang Lin to his core, like a pain boring straight into his soul. His body trembled as he instinctively retreated even faster, eyes fixed on Munhal. This was the gravest injury Munhal had ever suffered. Its pain cries rang out as the remaining juvenile Munhals around it shattered en masse. Boom after boom rang out. In the span of moments, every single juvenile Muhao within tens of thousands of miles had perished. Munhao's eyes turned blood red. It was truly enraged. This fury eclipsed anything it had ever felt in countless millennia. Especially now, with its life on the line, that arrow embedded in its eyes had become a threat to its very existence. Howling in rage, Munhao's cry hit a fever pitch. Suddenly, 7 blurry star points manifested outside its body. They began to spin in a circle, and as Muhao roared, one of the star points exploded with a bang. Ancient God Star shattering. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed strangely as he witnessed it. With the collapse of that star point, an overwhelming power surged from within Muhao. The force was immense. Shocking bangs echoed out as the black vortex at Munhao's brow was torn apart, disintegrated on the spot. The arrow embedded in its head was also expelled, forced out of Munhao's body. This scene made Mystic Treasure Elder's expression change drastically. Impossible. According to the ancient texts, an ordinary Muhao could never survive a sub-void nirvana artifact. This one may be huge and its aura terrifying, but it should be gravely wounded. High above the starry sky, Yen Lazy observed with a cold smile curling at his lips. The elder once said, the purpose of sending this moon beast to the Alliance was to provoke its wrath. The angrier it gets, the better. The more it's wounded, the greater the destruction it can unleash. The fury of Moon Gazer reached its peak. At this moment, using the power of Shattered Star, he forced the arrow out. The intense pain almost drove him insane, his eyes bloodshot, and the only thought in his mind was to kill, 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 kill. Roar. This arm was tens of thousands of miles long and incredibly massive. At this moment, clenched into a fist, from a distance, it resembled the arm of an ancient god. When Moon Gazer was enraged, it was like the finger of an ancient god. However, the limit of Moon Gazer's anger was merely the arm of an ancient god. The arm of the ancient god appeared, and immediately it swung forward, aiming a mighty punch at the Void Nirvana arrow. This punch left Wang Lin momentarily dazed, as if he had traversed millions of years into the past, through the ancient era, witnessing the time of an ancient god defying the heavens. He saw an ancient god swinging his arm, roaring as he struck forward. Planets collapsed, the stars fell, and all enemies were utterly shattered under this one punch. At this moment, the ancient god's arm conjured by Moon Gazer was just as such. He threw a punch, landing directly on the arrow. The arrow immediately trembled, and with a loud bang, it shattered. Even the Void Nirvana artifact was destroyed under the punch of the ancient god. The Mystic Treasure Elder spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale as he hastily retreated, but just as he moved back, a chilling cold suddenly spread across the starry sky. In this coldness, a red lightning bolt appeared, like a thunderclap splitting the heavens, roaring toward him. The speed of this red lightning was too fast, and it struck with perfect precision, hitting the moment the Mystic Treasure Elder's artifact was destroyed and his mind was shaken. The red lightning contained extreme coldness, and its madness radiated unrestrainedly. In the instant the Mystic Treasure Elder retreated, it flashed toward him. The Mystic Treasure Elder had no time to dodge and was directly struck by the red lightning, which rushed into his body. His face drastically changed, and he spat out another mouthful of blood, his eyes momentarily losing focus. At this moment, a figure in white robes appeared from the starry sky. It was Qing Shui, his expression cold. As he materialized, his right eye flashed with red light, and several more red lightning bolts shot toward the Mystic Treasure Elder. Extreme Realm Manifestation. Extreme Realm. The Mystic Treasure Elder's body shook with a violent boom, and a massive spray of blood mist erupted from his back. He staggered back even faster, but those red lightning bolts relentlessly pursued him. The moment Qing Shui appeared, he quickly formed a hand seal and pointed skyward. Immediately, a black wind howled, and 7 black dragons materialized. They roared and exhaled dark winds, extinguishing all living fires as they advanced toward the Mystic Treasure Elder. Mystic Treasure, do you still recognize the Lord of the Thunder Realm? Qing Shui's voice was filled with chilling fury. He had already arrived on the battlefield, but no one here had given him a reason to act, except for the Mystic Treasure Elder. Mystic Treasure, you're not dead? The Mystic Treasure Elder quickly retreated, but the starry sky behind him was surrounded by the 7 black dragons. With the winds of darkness pressing down, he gritted his teeth and formed another hand seal, pointing forward. Immediately, the 9 black butterflies surrounding Moon Gazer flickered and vanished, only to reappear beside the Mystic Treasure Elder. 9 butterflies merge into one. The 9 butterflies flapped their wings simultaneously. As their bodies glowed with black light, they quickly merged into one. In an instant, the butterfly emitted a dazzling 4-colored glow. As its wings fluttered, four-colored powder fell, creating a vortex around the mystic treasure elder. As it swept outward, it instantly halted the 7 black dragons. If it were the artifact made by your senior brother Tianbao, I would have hesitated, but you are not worthy of such consideration. Qin Shui's voice was icy as he made another hand seal, causing the 7 black dragons to roar. Suddenly, hundreds of thousands, even millions, of raindrops appeared out of nowhere. These raindrops swarmed around the 4-colored butterfly, closing in on the mystic treasure elder. Boom, boom. The sound of explosions reverberated. The mystic treasure elder wore a bitter expression. His identity was a mystery to everyone else, but in front of Qin Shui, there was nowhere to hide. He was once a celestial being of the Renegade Immortal world. He was also the junior disciple of Tianbao, the one who crafted the divine chariot. Qin Shui, do not push me too far. The immortal realm no longer exists. This is the Alliance Star Domain. The mystic treasure elder shouted, his hands spreading wide. The sealed celestial essence, suppressed for millions of years, erupted with a thunderous roar. Endless celestial energy spread throughout the surroundings, transforming the starry sky into a celestial realm. At the same time, he formed another hand seal, pointing at the 4-colored butterfly. The butterfly suddenly shook, and one of its wings detached, drifting forward like a flower petal. In an instant, the wing transformed into 4 rays of different colored light, like 4 blazing flames, creating a vortex. Rule of Void Nirvana. The moment the words Mystic Treasure Elder were spoken, the 4 spirals formed by the wings suddenly cracked with a resounding boom, shattering into countless multicolored powder that scattered in the air. Qin Shui's wind summoning art was affected by this powder and immediately dissipated. Everything around them, all divine abilities and magical arts, ceased to exist in that moment. Everything vanished. Without hesitation, Mystic Treasure Elder extended his right hand and pointed forward. Immediately, the other wing of the 4-colored butterfly detached, and as the butterfly vanished, the wing floated in place, causing the surroundings to shift once more in the blink of an eye. To their surprise, all the divine abilities that had disappeared, including Qin Shui's wind summoning art, reappeared. This time, however, the wind summoning art had become Mystic Treasure Elder's divine ability. He muttered under his breath, his arms spreading wide. The wind summoning art around him immediately reversed its course, both blocking the approaching Moonview beast and striking at Qin Shui. Seizing the moment, Mystic Treasure Elder quickly retreated. However, the red lightning bolts relentlessly pursued him, causing him great distress. He thought to himself, if only the Void Nirvana arrow were still with me, I could have fought Qin Shui without fear. As soon as the thought of the Void Nirvana arrow crossed his mind, a sharp pain struck his heart. He had never imagined the Moonview beast would be this powerful, far surpassing what ancient texts described. Otherwise, he would never have come here. Not only had he failed, but he had also lost his only Void Nirvana magical artifact. He could already imagine how much his position within the Elder Council would fall. Now, he had encountered the deadly Qin Shui from years ago. Although he did not understand why Qin Shui had yet to perish, he assumed that Qin Shui must have some way of surviving, just as he had managed to stay alive until now. In the face of this crisis, he had no time to ponder further. The only thought in his mind was to escape quickly. From a distance, Wang Lin's heart shook violently. His heart was racing faster than ever. Thump, thump. All sound around him faded as the pounding of his heart echoed in his mind. He was fixated on the hand seal Mystic Treasure Elder had just used, burning it into his memory. So this person is actually the junior brother of Heavenly Treasure Sage. He made these 4-colored butterflies, though they are clearly weaker than Heavenly Treasure Sage's power. But this hand seal, if I can figure it out. Wang Lin's heartbeat quickened, his eyes locked on Mystic Treasure Elder, never blinking. The reversed wind summoning art didn't stop Qin Shui for even a moment. His eyes glinted coldly as he raised his right hand. Grasping the air, countless crystal lights gathered in his hand. Suddenly, he threw them forward. Scatter beams to form soldiers. The crystal lights scattered, immediately forming illusory figures. Once again, Qin Shui used the scatter beams to form soldiers' technique, and these illusory figures radiated powerful auras. Within an instant, thousands of soldiers appeared in front of him. With a flick of his finger, these illusory figures shot forward, heading straight for the reversed wind summoning art. Mystic Treasure Elder's pupils constricted as he felt a bitter sorrow. Some of these illusory figures were familiar to him, former friends from the past. With a heavy sigh, he continued to retreat, his eyes flashing with a cruel gleam. He spread his arms wide and shouted, Qing Shui, let me show you the power of the magical artifacts I've researched for countless years. All magical artifacts in this world have an inherent primal power. I've studied this primal power for tens of thousands of years and have glimpsed its essence. Mystic Treasure Elder's arms stretched wide, each containing inscriptions. With a flick, an invisible ripple spread from his body, rapidly expanding. In the blink of an eye, within tens of thousands of miles, everything was engulfed in these ripples. The surviving cultivators felt their magical artifacts instantly break free from their control. Even the connection between their minds and the artifacts was severed. Everyone around them was stunned. In the starry sky, countless dead cultivators' magical artifacts began to rise, all converging toward Mystic Treasure Elder. It was as if, at that moment, he was the ancestor of all magical artifacts in the world. Under his summons, no artifact dared to resist. But the most shocking thing for the surrounding cultivators, including Wang Lin, was what happened to their storage pouches. Storage pouches were considered magical artifacts too. In that instant, all the storage pouches broke free from their owner's control, flying forward. As they flew, the pouches opened on their own, and magical artifacts flew out. Wang Lin's storage pouch was no exception. His face changed, and his right hand quickly shot out, grabbing the pouch. But at that moment, a strange force enveloped the pouch. As soon as Wang Lin's hand touched it, he felt a scorching, intense heat surge into his body, threatening to destroy his primordial spirit. If he didn't let go, his soul would be annihilated. Many other cultivators also tried to grab their storage pouches, but at this moment, they were forced to release their grip in agony, watching helplessly as their pouches flew away. The items in Wang Lin's storage pouch were too valuable for him to let go of. In this moment of crisis, without a second thought, his third eye at the center of his brow suddenly opened, and a red light enveloped the pouch, casting directly onto it. A trace of primordial essence leaked out within the red light, which, in the act of resistance, gradually dissipated the strange power on the storage pouch. Wang Lin's face turned pale as he let out a heavy breath, holding the storage pouch tightly in his grasp.